So it's really hard to point out, and I have to, and I've had to. Classroom, at this point, according to what you guys had sent me, the clinical practice sequence guide that I've been trying to follow, it says that teach for all the mentors classes throughout the week with full responsibility of the classroom. That would include giving kids consequences as is necessary when she's in teaching. I've given suggestions for that and been told, no, I don't want to. Hold on, we have an announcement.
Cultural Committee, please pick up your donation letter from Lori Bishop's room before you leave today. Thank you.
And there's just a lot of, I'd like to see more, okay, this so-and-so's doing good, so-and-so's doing good, instead of you're wrong, or if you're not doing this, you're wrong. I feel a lot of negativity, and it's not all the time, of course, but I feel a lot lately that it's been a lot of negativity, and I'd like to see more positiveness. Just the, like she said, organization, being organized and prepared will help with that.
Okay, so, two things. I would say this. I can relate organizationally. That was my biggest struggle as a new teacher. And it's still an area of growth that I have to work on because you said that normally you're naturally inclined to organization. I'm not. So I know that that's something that I have to keep, always spinning in my head. And I think especially in elementary grades, students really need to see that, this is the structure of how things go. This is how we do it. We understand the procedure for it, and that it's consistent across the board. So I think that I wonder if one of the things that's happening, Michelle, is that when you do feel overwhelmed or stressed out, that impacts the organization.
Yeah.
And I feel like kids are like sharks and blood in the water. I mean, and I love kids, and that's not to say anything about them negatively overall.
Right.
But kids, they pick up on these things. I think that my 4-year-old senses things that I wish he would never realize, but he does.
Yeah.
And so I think that, okay, I think it's really important. So just so you understand, Mrs. McMillan, that sequence guide is definitely flexible from person to person. We have some candidates in the program who are already full-time teachers, and this is old hat to them. And then we have the very other end of the spectrum, which is, they haven't been in a classroom before. So I think that it depends on the candidate. That's what I think is that there is flexibility, especially because I think for you, these are your kids and you're responsible at the end of the year, after Michelle's gone, how they perform is still on you. And so sometimes it comes down to a mentor saying, like, I can't release this specific content to my student teacher. I need to be the one that does it. So
and I did take back math and writing. I did take that back.
I love doing the writing.
So that's kind of one of those, because at the end of the day, if we calculate the 200 hours, which DC requires, because that's the pathway, so most candidates get their certification from the Office of the State Superintendent of DC, and then they transfer it to the state that they want to teach in. And so we obviously go by DC's requirements. So those 200 hours spread out over the 2 weeks is what leaves room for flexibility, but that's as long as it's also okay with the mentor teacher. So it's not one of these hard and fast rules on anybody's end. But we want, at the end of the day, what's best for the kids. And if what's best for the kids learning at this point isn't Michelle teaching math, then, it's just not. But here's the thing, Michelle. I do think there's incredible value in you watching the way that the lessons are taught, because the Algebra for Dummies book, while it could be explaining some basic concepts to you, math today is not like math
I
when
know.
we were kids.
No, I come in
Right.
still at the same time. I don't like cheat out and say, okay, well, I'll come when it's time for me to teach. I still come in the very morning hours at 7:30, 7:45, and when she does the math, I'm there. Because she's
Good.
taught me, I mean, watching Miss McMillan, it's like I know there's certain phrases you need to use and ways you need to actually show them this math. And it's stuff I'm so not even familiar with. And it's the simplest stuff, but it's stuff you don't even think about. So I do want to be here when she does it. It's really, really helpful in that respect.
Well, and that also comes from years of experience in the classroom. I'm sure
Yeah.
Mrs. McMillan will tell you that her process today is very different than what her process was when she first
Was
started.
it?
I've always been extremely organized, extremely, this is
Yeah.
what I'm going to do, be very prepared. But of course, there are some differences.
Right. And I
know my
think
management
that
got better
trial and
as
error
I-
is a part of, oh, I'm sorry.
My management of the class got better as time went on. It always
Right.
does.
Right, but being organized is a discipline that
Mhm.
absolutely has to be a part of this. And Michelle, I don't know what do you think could help you in that area? Because you said normally you are.
Well,
but
I'm doing-
right now you're.
I'm doing fine. I've got it all together. It was just that last week was just, for some reason, I don't know what it was with this place, but the energy was really bad. The kids were really bad. I didn't feel comfortable. It was just chaotic. And I have a really hard time with noise. And I know that's crazy with fourth grade, but I never imagined classes to be this noisy because I was never this noisy in school. My daughter's class isn't this noisy. And so when I get around a lot of noise and I'm trying to focus on these students here and everyone behind me is talking and I'm trying to control them, I feel really overwhelmed. And I don't know where my
Right.
authority lies in this class. You know, when I try to do the authoritative thing, I'm coming off as being a bully. And if I try to do it in my way, which is to say please, I'm being told, I mean, I'm kind of seeing that I'm not able to manage the class. And so I just feel almost like shutting down.
So that's one thing you can't do.
I know.
So, so now we have to think about what we can do. So you just said something when you were talking that instantly made me think, because you just said, you know, I'm working with these students and then they're behind me.
Not behind me physically, but they're over behind this desk that we're sitting
Right.
at right now, and they're just going, and I'm trying to watch them, and I'm trying to do this with these students, and it's just, for me personally, it's really nerve-wracking.
Well, right, but one of the things I was going to say is this proximity, and we talked about that a little bit too. Proximity is such an effective and quiet classroom management strategy
Right, well,
that the way you stand even, so
Yeah.
you might not be able to be right next to the students
Mhm.
in the moment. But the thing is that there should be no time where your back is to them
Oh.
as much as possible.
No, my back isn't to them. My back isn't to them. I'm sitting facing the class, but the stations we do for the little group stations with groups, they're at a specific table here that we're at right now, and the rest of the students are at their own desks working until I call the next group up. But it's, so I have my eyes on everybody, and I'm honestly trying with all my heart to look and watch them, but also to keep a focus on the ones around me, because either...
Okay. So what is Mrs. McMillan suggesting you do that you don't feel like is a good option for you?
Well,
Like, is there a way to organize those groupings differently
Well-
so that they're not such in separate spaces in the classroom? Is there a way to do that?
I don't know. I just figured it was something I needed to learn to do better. That it wasn't really an
Not
option for me.
always. What you need to learn, so this is the management part of it, right?
Yes.
We can't control what they do all the time, but we can manipulate how things are set up
Right.
to try to minimize that as much as possible. And so I think that, yes, a bit of noise is going to come with fourth graders, but there's a difference between the noise when they're on task
Yeah.
and the noise when
When they're being
off task.
just
And
absolutely
probably
out of control.
Off-task noise is the thing that overwhelms you, and that would also overwhelm me. It's hard to think, right? But it's also hard to think for them. And so again, it goes back to, okay, so, and Michelle, this is a conversation that a lot of new teachers have to have. Classroom management is a trick and it takes time. And it involves a lot of different things. And because these haven't been your students from the beginning of the year, they don't know you as well as they know what Mrs. McMillan expects. Okay? So here's the best thing that I can
I'm just
recommend.
exhausted at the end of the day trying to get them to behave, and they're not.
Huh?
It's so hard because I don't want to be like this asshole, but it's like these kids. They're not getting any kind of repercussions for what they do at home. So no matter how bad they get here, they're not getting disciplined for it. So the next day it's the same bullshit over and over with these children, and I'm just really frustrated because I want to do well. And at the end of the day, I just get run out, and I just feel disappointed in myself.
If this didn't upset you, then I'd be concerned. The fact that this upsets you means that it matters to you.
Yes.
And you're questioning. And that's what I'm here for, and that's what Mrs. McMillan is here for. So, here's the thing that I can say, because I am not in your classroom and Mrs. McMillan is. She's got procedures in place that she uses with her students. And the thing is this, you might not do things exactly the way she does when you're in your own classroom. It's really important that right now you go with the procedures that are already in place that the students know.
I'm really honestly
And
tempted to do those. I really am.
So, Mrs. McMillan, can you identify specific things that Michelle could be doing? Like pick two for this week coming up. And then, we can add on as you get them, because it can be overwhelming to try to do all of it. So what are two things that we could do this coming week that you think would help in the area of management?
Using the oh no and oh yeah management thing that I have in place. Because I honestly haven't heard her use the oh no or oh yeah, and I know that when I give them I'll say, okay, this is your warning, the next time I'm going to say oh no. And they know that that means a lap at recess.
Okay.
And they don't like that. They don't like me I'm going to say, oh no. Because when I'm teaching in the morning, they are not being loud, because they know I'm going to be consistent and follow through with what I say. Right now, they know that she's not going to do anything because she's just going to come and tell me instead of handling it. So taking care of the situation, saying, oh yeah for positive things, and oh no for the things that, as a whole class management thing. So if the whole class is being unruly, you say, oh no. Of course, not going overboard, because then that's just over the other end. Yeah. So that's one area. And the other area would be the proximity thing that we have talked about, mm-hmm. and you have talked about. Being by the students. If they're reading a passage, walk around and just point to them. Yeah, today was better.
I remember what you said.
And today was a better day. Did you notice that they were paying attention a little bit more? They were.
Well, there was a few that.
There's always a few that are never going to listen at all.
The one thing I do have to...
And you go and you take that pencil. And you go and you take that water bottle, and you just keep teaching.
I do have to ask a question, though, about the ones that are really out.
So, Michelle, let me say this.
I don't understand. I don't know where my I don't know my authority level is for
You're in charge.
Yeah, but I don't know what I can do as a punishment, and I'm afraid I'm going to do something that's against school rules or offend Miss McMillan, or I'm going to get told that I'm being too mean. But when I say you're wrong, when it's class, it's honestly a military thing. You say, if you're not doing this, you're wrong. It just means do what you're supposed to do. And so I'll say, if you're not sitting down now, you're wrong. And that's not, maybe I shouldn't use that vernacular so much, but I lived that for so long in my life. I grew up in the military, and I was in the military. It's just something I'm used to. Just like when I say you're being a soup sandwich, it means you're not working up to your potential. You know, soup sandwich, they're useless. So
right.
I don't honestly mean that as an offensive thing, but it does catch their attention.
Okay, so So here's the thing I was going to say. To go back to what you said about the kids who don't listen,
Yeah.
and just no matter what, there are two things to think about. We can not control what goes on outside of the class. We can only